You might get one
I don't
person who
think like
converts.
everyone's gonna ignore it, but
You see what I'm saying, though?
I
You're not going
disagree
to get.
with that like people, vegans and non-vegans stand together on like I believe that they stand together on some positions. Like I'm pretty sure like on fur and on leather and other stuff. There's lots of people that disagree. They don't want to buy fur, for example.
Right.
They might be meat eaters.
Yeah. I would never knowingly buy fur unless somebody explained to me that the animal had died in roadkill or some shit like that. Do you know what I mean? Or, if.
Yeah, there's nothing morally wrong with using something that died in an accident,
Yeah, absolutely. Or like you said earlier, something that dies of
or
old age.
or eating a roadkill.
Right. Absolutely.
Like I don't disagree. Like if you want to go and eat a roadkill, I, I have no arguments about it. Like you can, you're free to go like and eat it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like if you find like an animal in the wild that died of natural cause, you can go ahead and eat. Like I don't like.
It's a bad idea, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
like
understand where you're coming from.
I have concerns about your health, but that's your problem.
Hmm.
If you want to destroy your health,
Yeah, absolutely. I
like
understand that. Literally, I've got no fucks given about my health. Like, there's no health concerns. Do you know what I mean? Like, I drink
yeah,
alcohol, I smoke cigarettes. I clearly don't care about my health. You know what I mean? So, like, I can appreciate where people come from when they're saying like veganism is a better diet and all this kind of thing. I can appreciate why that would gain some attention from people. And there's a certain sector of society that would go into veganism entirely just for the health concerns and the dietary concerns. That's not me. And in my video, I made that quite clear. Um, the video was essentially just an introduction to the series. So the amount
like
of
are you planning
hate.
to go like make like 5 parts, 2 parts? How many parts are you?
I mean, as many parts as it takes. There's going to be at least uh, at least 3 more because there's the different sections. The next video is essentially going to focus on Ask Yourself much more. Not necessarily Ask Yourself himself, but the way he conducts himself and the way his fans follow him. So the reaction that I've got from this video is going to be a perfect example. In 2 days, I'll get my stats through, and I can guarantee you, in 2 days, when I get them stats through, there's going to be 200 people that have clicked on my video and not even watched it. And there's already 25 dislikes. So 55 comments.
Um,
Now, I can't prove that right now,
like
but I've got evidence of it happening previously on 2 separate occasions. So the other one's got
so
600 views.
just
Yeah,
I'm
come on.
just gonna try like and defend what the content of Ask Yourself, and but what's your position on his content?
I mean, I don't watch his content. A friend of mine who is a vegan has recommended to me the name a trait argument, and they said basically, if you think that you've got a good position against this, why don't you respond to it, basically. So I did do that. I responded to it. 600 views, 59 dislikes. I then went on to clarify my position in 2 other videos, which barely hit those kind
Yeah,
of
I
views.
think like I showed the your response. I didn't like
Okay,
so it's I didn't watch the video, but
you
it
saw
was
that
like
it
four
existed.
months old.
Hmm.
No, yeah, I saw that just exists, but he didn't respond to it, right?
He hasn't responded directly to it. He's
No,
responded in comments,
yeah.
and I've no problem. The guy's a busy guy. I totally understand that. It'd be nice if he explained why I was wrong. But rather than just saying you're wrong and leaving it at that, it would have been nice if he'd been able to give me an explanation of why he felt I was wrong. It's all right because that video was just an immediate reaction, and I now more clearly see the flaws in his argument. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
If he doesn't respond to it,
go back to that video, check what he said exactly.
I mean, his basic argument is name the traits, isn't it? Right. So name the one trait that means that you can eat an animal, but you wouldn't eat a human, right? But obviously,
no, like his arguments usually like you have to name a specific difference that justifies the treatment of animals. That if you put that trait in yourself
on a human, then it would make it
justify treating you the same.
Okay, right. So we both know that there isn't a trait, right? There isn't one identifiable difference. Yeah.
Well, it might, like, if you're logically consistent, like if you truly believe something, there is a trait.
No, but listen, you know and I know that there is no trait, right?
No, that's like
don't go off topic. You know that there isn't a trait because there definitely isn't one specific trait. There are many traits, and the problem is that when you try to say that to him, he'll say that's fine. Let's go through them all one at a time. And you don't go through them all one at a time, they accumulate. You go through them all together, building on top of each other, not separating them, breaking them down.
Okay, so are you suggesting like that if a human has all those traits, so we treat him like an animal?
Yeah. Right, so listen to the way that I would describe this, okay? It doesn't have to be a sentient being. You could make this exact same argument with a rock, right? Name the trait that a rock possesses, that if a human possessed that rock, it would mean that you could treat that human like a rock.
He's not, like, the rock isn't sentient.
Okay, so if a human wasn't sentient,
you like would... if a human isn't sentient, you can, like, if I wasn't sentient, you could go ahead and eat me.
No, I said a rock. I never said an animal. I said a rock.
No, so yeah, no.
Yeah, so can I throw you through a window if you're a human being who lacks sentience?
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean,
right, so
I don't mind.
You're in a coma. Your family are all around. They're still quite clearly sentient. But, I can throw you through a window.
It's not great. Like,
I can use you to build a wall. Can I do that? Can I use you?
A common person isn't. A common person is sentient. He's not brain dead. He's like sleeping.
No, yeah, okay, but I'm saying, like, if you were totally out of it, let's say you're dead, can I still? If you're dead, you're not sentient. Can I use you to build a wall? Can I throw you through somebody's window?
Look, like,
can I pick you up off the street and use you as a weapon?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna explain.
Yeah.
If I'm dead, like,
yeah,
you don't cause any suffering, like an amount of well-being to be reduced in the universe. Does it make sense? Like,
I know where you're coming from, but you're not thinking through what I'm saying, because obviously there are other humans that lack sentient, are sentient and would care about your existence, whether you're alive or dead. There's your family for a start.
Yeah, but that's another fact. Like, I know that because, like, ask yourself, made the exact same argument. If there was a rock that you place an importance in that rock, it would be wrong for me to smash that rock because you place importance in that rock.
Okay.
Do you understand? Like, and that will cause you suffering. If you, like, throwing me out of the window cause the suffering
to another person.
To another person, that's wrong because you will cause suffering to that person.
So what's the trait then? So we've already established that the difference between a human and a rock is not sentience. You just said.
No.
You've just agreed that you can't throw a rock out of a window if somebody places value on that rock, right?
No,
Regardless of if
here
it has
you're wrong.
sentience.
Like
No, you just said that.
you're adding traits. Like
No, you
you're
literally just said that. How am I the one that's
no,
adding the traits? I'm asking you for a
no.
trait.
You're
Okay,
like
I'm
you're
mistaken.
misunderstanding the argument.
No, I'm really not. You're
It's like
misunderstanding the argument.
someone is placing an importance in me.
Okay.
So that's the difference in the treatment.
Right. So,
like,
what you're saying is,
let me make an example. There's two rocks, and the one one rock is your favorite, and the other one you don't care about it.
Okay.
Okay. So it would be wrong for me to smash the rock that you care about, but it wouldn't be wrong for me to smash the rock that you don't care about, because there's no suffering.
So you're saying,
smashing the rock.
I appreciate where you're coming from. So now you're suggesting that the trait, the difference, would be the value that other people place. Yeah. So if nobody places any value in you, if nobody places any value in you,
clarify it with?
Yeah, I was trying to clarify it with my example. Thought that might clarify.
My position is that because they are sentient, they need to be treated different than non-sentient beings.
I think
even if they are living beings, like plants are living beings, but just being alive doesn't mean much.
Right. I think we're slowly establishing where I'm coming from. I think you're appreciating already that even if you compare a human to a rock, there are more than one trait, and you can't just break down those traits and pick each one individually. You have to put those traits together, because you already established that for a rock to be valueless, it has to not be sentient, and it also has to be given value by an outside source, and that's just a rock. So when you start talking about the differences between the humans and the animals we eat, there are obviously many, many differences, and you can't just break these differences down and identify each one individually. You have to build them all up. Does that make sense? For me to treat a human like a rock, the human would have to
I'm not suggesting to treat a human like a rock.
No, I am. You're not understanding this. What I'm suggesting is that you've already established that in order to not treat a human like a rock, you have to A, lack sentience, and B, be given value from an outside source. Those two things have to exist in unison. If you break it down and you ask for either one of those things on its own, that one trait is not enough. If you give a human no value, but it's still sentient, then you can't use it as a wall. If you take away the sentience and yet it still has value from an outside source, then you can't use that human to build a wall. Do you understand? These things have to be put together, not broken down.
I understand what you're saying, but they're separate arguments for not doing something. We also shouldn't care, place a value in the object, so that we are justified in treating someone else hasn't needs not to place a value in that object, so that you're justified in treating the object however you want. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you agree with that, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, but how does that refute the name the trait argument?
Wow.
What, how does it make it incorrect?
Because there isn't a single trait.
Yeah, but no one's saying there is a single trait.
No.
But if you take that trait individually, you will see that this trait just doesn't justify the treatment of the animal.
How have I not just explained to you with the rock analogy that that's absolutely ludicrous?
Yeah, but that's another trait.
No. What? Well, tell me the difference between a human and a rock then. Tell me the trait that's different between a human and a rock.
Difference.
Okay, so name one. I'm just asking for one.
A rock isn't a living being.
Okay, so if a human wasn't a living being, would it be all right to use them as a wall or throw them through a window?
No.
Right. Okay.
Because
so what's the
a
trait?
human being is not sentient.
Okay,
I mean, a human being is sentient, and the rock isn't sentient.
Okay, so what if the human isn't sentient? So the human's dead now.
Yeah,
right?
that's okay.
So you can use a dead human for a wall, even though it's given value from an outside source.
Yeah, but that's you're adding more like.
No, I'm not.
More traits like.
No, because a human is in that situation. I'm talking about
reality. A rock can be placed in that situation as well.
Yes, it
That's
can.
holds true in that rock's position too.
Right.
And that is being logical consistent.
Let's,
Because if someone places a value in that rock, it's wrong to smash that rock. And the same thing goes for the human as well. If that corpse, if someone places value in that human, even if it's dead, if the human is dead, it's wrong to do as you please with that corpse because you cause suffering to the human who places value in that corpse, and that is being logically consistent about it.
Right. So now you've asked for the trait. If a human has no value from a family, is it okay to treat them like a rock? You have said nothing about whether they are sentient or not. If we break down each point individually, do you understand? You have to combine the points together, and that is the problem with the name a trait argument. Because the way
it's not a trait, because you are considered like
because he's being intellectually dishonest.
Can you clarify that? If you can you is the human sentient or not?
Right. Listen to me. There's
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying. I understand that we're just going to go around in circles if I answer this question. So I'm going to take it in a different direction because I've got two other absolutely perfect ways of refuting this argument as well as that one. All right. So what is the trait between a pig that is kept for food and a pig that is kept for a pet? What's the difference between those two pigs? Name the trait. Because pigs are kept for pets, you know, so are chickens. Chickens are kept as pets. So why aren't we eating those chickens?
Why do you want me to name a trait for something like that's
between a pig and a pig?
What's the argument?
Well, do you not understand that even by asking for a difference between a pig and a pig, like surely you can see that the argument is flawed.
I don't see what's the argument. Like
the argument is that
name a trait for what?
The argument is that name a trait does not work. It doesn't exist. What's the difference between a pig and a pig? You fucking... Oh. Sorry, I'm getting wound up. I don't mean to. There's no difference. Obviously, there's no trait.
Well, there might be some differences, but...
Okay, the differences are who it's owned by, the reason for its existence.
Complete what you want to say, but...
I just did. I was saying the traits, because there's more than one, are that the owner is clearly different in most cases. The reason that it was born, mostly, is the reason. So the situation that it finds itself in, you know.
You're asking me to name a trait for a situation, but I have nothing to argue about. Like, I mean,
why? No, you do.
You haven't named an argument. You haven't.
My point is clearly, why do we not eat every single pig? If there is a trait that makes pigs just universally like food, then why are they not all being eaten? What's the difference between a pig and a pig? If you can tell me the difference between a pet pig and a... If you can tell me...
I understand what you're saying, but
what I'm saying is, if
it doesn't make much sense. Like, I mean,
right? I'm trying to make it make sense. If you can tell me the difference between a pet pig and a livestock pig, then I can tell you the difference between a human and a pig.
Just give me a sec. Like I need to think about for like.
There's nothing to think about. The point that I'm making is that name a trait is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. There's many differences between the animals that we eat and the people that eat them. There's another one that he said, which is species, which I've already addressed quite clearly a couple of times now. If you say that it's okay to eat another species, then is it okay for another species to eat you? Which clearly the answer is yes. Obviously,
Yeah,
if
but
an
the thing is,
alien race
like, you're asking me to name a trait, but you don't have I don't have an argument to name a trait. Like, if you like, do you want me to name a trait for like the difference of treatment in
a
a
pet
pet
pig,
pig and
a livestock pig.
a livestock pig? Is that what you want me to do?
I mean, if you think you can, let's go for it.
No, is that what you want me to do?
It was clearly a mental device to make a point. But if you want to try to do it, then let's go for it. Let's play the mind game.
No,
I obviously already addressed that point.
Like,
I addressed that point. I clarified that point, and then you still were just stumbling. So I moved on to the next point. I moved on from that point, is what I'm saying. Like, you can leave that in the past if you want. I don't mind you not addressing it.
No. I want to address it. Like,
well, if you want to
do you
address
want
it,
me to name a trait, like, for the difference of treatment between pet pigs and livestock pigs?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, but what's the argument?
What do you mean, what's the argument? The argument is that name a trait doesn't exist. The argument is that you could not possibly come up with a trait that's different between. My argument is that you're not going to find one. You might find a series.
That's not what I'm asking. Like,
well, you don't understand the question.
Do you want to name a trait for the difference of treatment in between a pet pig and a livestock pig? Is that what you want me to do?
I've got a feeling that right now you're either Googling or you're asking in some kind of chat for some kind of advice, and you're just stalling me and asking me the same question repeatedly while you wait for one of them to give you some kind of answer.
I'm not.
Well, that's what it's coming across like, because you've just asked me the same question like at least 3 times, and I've clarified my position every time that you are welcome to try to do that if you wish. I already moved on from this point because you were clearly struggling with it, and I'd like the conversation to continue to move.
Let me explain. Like, name the trait is an argument to justify something. You don't need to name a trait to define a position, like for a pet pigs and livestock pigs.
Well, the differences are obvious. Why don't people eat pet pigs?
Because they don't want, because they're pets.
Okay. So
they don't want to eat their pets.
Right. So what's the difference though between a pet pig and a livestock pig? Because a pet is just an owned animal, and a livestock pig is
like the difference is an arbitrary difference. Like,
the livestock pig is essentially a pet pig. Can we establish that? Like, they're both owned animals that are cared for by their owners and given the right to life by their owners and maintained by their owners, and one of them is then killed, hence livestock, and the other one is left to die of old age, hence pet.
Okay, but
so
you want to name a difference for that? What's the argument?
Well, what is the difference between a pet pig and a livestock pig that means that one?
There's no difference.
Right. Okay. Exactly. That's the fucking point that I made about an hour ago.
What's the point in this point? Like, you're trying to make
that name a trait doesn't make any sense. There is no merit in it.
But you don't have an argument. Like, that's like, how can I explain it?
I don't know, because you're not making any sense, man. I've already given you 3 perfect and distinct problems with name a trait. 3 different angles of attack.
Okay, so
the first of which you really stumbled over and struggled
what's
with.
listen, naming the trait is an argument to justify the difference of treatment. How you treat, like,
A human and a rock.
if you like,
right?
you
A
have to
pig and a
accept this
pet pig.
position. You have to accept this position in yourself, and not like you can give me a pet condition and a livestock condition.
Yes, I can. I can just replace the word human or person with the word pet, and I can replace the word animal with the word livestock. I can change the argument, the focal points of the argument, and still use the exact same logic. Does that not compute?
No,
how does that not make sense?
Like, you're making me pick, like, no,
So
you're making a different argument.
What's the difference between a pet pig and a livestock pig, which, if present in the other,
yeah, but this is
would
not
mean
they
that
are
you could
the
treat
name
them
the
the
trait
same?
argument.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay,
there is no fucking difference.
There are differences in the treatment. Like, let me explain. Give me like a minute.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, sorry, just calm down. I'm not very good at this anyway.
No, it's fine. I don't mind getting a little bit irate, to be honest with you. I quite enjoy it. It's good to have a lively discussion on the internet rather than yelling at somebody in my actual family. So
like, you're giving
personally.
Like, you're giving me two different situations and you want me to compare them. That's not what the name the trait is about.
Look, I've gone round this already. Okay, you clearly didn't understand the second point. The pig and the pig clearly goes over your head. I get that.
No,
the person and the rock, clearly you were struggling with the point I was making about the differences between a person and a rock as well. I get that as well. I really hope that when you go away from this conversation, something clicks in your head. Next time you're watching an Ask Yourself video, I really hope you see the type of behavior that I'm referring to, where rather than accumulating the points, whenever it suits him, he adds the points together. Whenever it doesn't suit him, he takes them apart and deconstructs the argument point by point. So I don't know. He's intellectually dishonest.